So I'm on my summer holidays right now. I'm outside, I'm by my pool, things are quiet, and it's really bloody hot. And no, I'm not doing nothing. This is actually one of the most important times of the year for me, from a business planning and growth perspective, okay? Now, I live in Australia, so this is our summer break. So if you're watching this from, say, the US or Europe or anywhere else in the world where it's winter right now, the same rules apply. It just means you'll probably be relaxing by a fire or something, something like that while you're thinking about your business and goals for the new year. But I'm not here to talk about the weather. It's about clarity and it's about mindset. And I'm going to show you exactly how I use my downtime to make sure I can hit the ground running each and every new year with a clear business plan that helps avoid burnout. My name is Richard G-Cornell, and this channel is dedicated to helping people create their own destinies through business, entrepreneurship, and long-term growth. I've been in business for 30 years, helping brands sell more of their products and services. So whether you're a young adult, trying to find your path, or an entrepreneur looking to grow your business, I will show you how to cope and succeed in your journey whilst enjoying it along the way, all without burnout. So let's get into it. A lot of people treat downtime as time to completely switch their brain off, right? And I get it, but don't get me wrong, rest matters, especially for your mental health and avoiding business burnout. But there's a big difference between resting and wasting the one time of the year where you actually have room to think strategically about your business. And when you're flat out during the year, you're reacting, you got emails, clients, staff problems, deadlines, everything, it doesn't end, which is exactly how entrepreneur burnout happens. And you don't think clearly, when you're in the middle of all of that. But when things slow down, that's when perspective kicks in and real business clarity starts to take shape. That's when patterns show up. That's when ideas connect. That's when you finally have time to ask better questions about yourself and about your business strategy and planning. But most importantly, it's a time when you can be honest with yourself and evaluate your performance over the last 12 months in full peace. But I don't use this time to sit with my laptop or phone, right? My business planning for ideas sit outside of budget planning and traditional business planning templates. And one thing I always keep with me during this time, my notebook and pen. These two, not my phone. Because simple business planning works best when it's distraction free. Phones are great, but they're terrible for thinking. Ideas get lost, notifications interrupt you. You write something down and then you never see it again. This is different. Pen and paper, no pressure. If something pops into my head while I'm sitting here, I write it down. If an idea shows up while I'm relaxed, I don't ignore it. That's how ideas actually turn into plans that support sustainable business growth. And here's something people don't always like hearing. If you're in business, there's no such thing as work-life balance. And that's not a bad thing, as it's part of the entrepreneur mindset. But it took me nearly 30 years in business to finally accept this. I used to think that the more successful I got, the more money I made, the more free time I would have. Then I would just be able to switch my business off and, set it to autopilot. But you know what happens when you do that? Your business stagnates, and that's when burnout creeps in. If you're serious about your business, then business is always on your mind, and it should be, because if it's not, then you're probably not building anything meaningful or scalable. And the problem wasn't that I was always, thinking about my business all the time, even when I was on holidays. The problem was for me that I was thinking about it in a stressed, chaotic, and exhausted manner when I was too busy to do anything about it. What I've learned over the years is this: you can enjoy yourself, you can relax, you can be present, and still think, dream, and plan for business success. And that's a sweet spot that I now find myself in. This time of the year, I don't look for motivation. I look for clarity in my business planning. I look back at the year and I ask myself, what actually worked? What didn't work as well as what I thought it would? And where did I waste my time or energy in my business? Because let me tell you this, most people don't burn out from working too hard. They burn out from working hard on the wrong things that don't grow their business. And this is where you should slow down and really be honest with yourself, as a business owner or entrepreneur. And I recommend you do this too. Ask yourself questions like, what expenses can I cut right now that I simply don't need? What am I paying for that isn't making me money? What can I eliminate completely from my business operations that are holding me back? What can I do without? What could I invest more in that makes my business, more efficient? Should I be investing more in, say, AI tools that save me time and support smarter business systems, not adding complexity, but genuinely saving me time and money? Which clients are wasting my time and which clients are actually good clients? The ones that pay on time, respect boundaries, and don't drain your energy that cause burnout, And how do I get more clients like the good ones and fewer of the ones that keep me busy? What did I do last year that really worked in my business strategy? And how can I replicate that across other parts of my business? like what systems worked, what offers worked, what messaging worked to attract better clients. And here's a big one most people avoid. Which employees are adding real value and which ones are just not cutting it from a performance and growth perspective. And that's not emotional, that's simply business. And remember, that you need to use this time to evaluate and come up with solutions that create a stronger business plan for the new year. You know, I'm not sitting here looking for one massive idea. I'm looking for multiple needles in that haystack, from small improvements across my expenses, my revenue, time, energy, people, and systems, all key pillars of business planning. That's how businesses actually move forward, and not from one miracle idea, but a series of smart decisions that reduce burnout and increase profitability. And that is also why I focus so heavily on recurring revenue. One-off clients keep you chasing, but recurring revenue gives you breathing room and helps avoid burnout in your business. And you need to trust me on this one. You'll feel much less stressed when you know where your revenue is coming from each and every month with consistency. You can actually sleep better at night. You get excited to see how you can keep compounding it into more revenue. Everything is just better from a business growth standpoint. And when you've got breathing room, you think differently. Now, I've talked about this in another video, how to build recurring revenue and stop the stress cycle. And if you haven't watched it yet, then it's worth your time because it changes how you plan everything inside your business. Now, by the time I go back to work, I won't be guessing. I already know what I'm focusing on first, what I'm saying no to, and what actually matters inside my business plan. The last thing I want to do is come back feeling stressed or drained, because I wasn't clear on my goals and the steps I needed to implement to execute my business plan. I want it to feel like an exciting reset, like I'm stepping into something that I've chosen, not something I'm trapped in. And I hate it when I hear people say, oh, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. That's bullshit, right? If you don't believe in changing anything, if you don't believe in improving anything, then what exactly are you looking forward to, either in your business or your own personal life? These days, I look at downtime very differently to how I used to look at it in my early years. Downtime shouldn't be about switching off. It's about stepping back. So when you step forward again, you actually move the needle in your business. And I recommend you don't waste this time, I can't emphasize this enough. This is where the next year is really built and where strong business plans are formed. And this is how I think about business and how, I've avoided business, burning myself out, over the long run. And after being in business for 30 years, I still have so much to look forward to. And remember, words fly, but what is written remains. If you can turn your simple traditional notes into a plan of attack, then I can guarantee you that 2026 will be a massive year for your business. Now, this wraps up my video today. And as you can see, sun's still out and I'm gonna go for a swim. But that doesn't mean I'm not working. And don't listen to anyone when they say that New Year's resolutions don't work or that this isn't a business plan, because it's rubbish. Just know that the only way to move forward in business, or even life for that matter, is if you're clear in your thoughts and you have a plan that is even better than the previous year. And let me know in the comments below, what are your plans for the business this year, as I'd love to hear it. So thanks very much for watching. And if you like this video, then please like and subscribe so you can be the first to know about my next business growth video in this series for 2026. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.